Greetings and welcome to the latest edition of the Entheogenic Evolution Podcast. As always, I am your host, Martin, and I'm happy to have you with me today. I am changing things up for this week's episode rather than following the normal scheduled program, which would be to bring you the next two chapters of the audiobook of The Fate of Morani this week. I am going ahead with the very next interview for the podcast because it is time sensitive. This week, I am interviewing Loren, Crea, Abbade, and Anthony Hidalgo, who are part of Ayahuasca Inside Out, which is a new play that is going to be performed at the New York City Fringe Festival, actually starting today, April 14th, and running through the 20th. This is a workshop version of the play. They're hoping that it's going to be very successful there and that they will be able to develop it into a full play and musical, actually. And so we had a conversation the other week with the idea that we were going to put this out for the opening day of the play, which is today. So that's why the change in schedule. So we'll be back next week with two more chapters from the audiobook of Fate of Morani, and of course, more interviews to come after that. No real announcements for this week other than just to remind you, the listener, that if you are looking for someone to talk to about your entheogenic experience and would like some integration and reflection from a non-dual and energetic perspective, I'm always available for 30, 60, or 90-minute video calls. You can stop by my webpage, martinball.net, for more information, or you can stop by at nondualentheogenicintegration.com for more info there, or shoot me an email at martinwball@gmail.com. And of course, ongoing thanks to everyone who supports me over at Patreon. And a reminder that you can sign up and change your level of support. You can cancel at any time. There's anywhere from $1 a month all the way up to $100 a month that also comes with a monthly 1-hour video check-in or integration call as you like and as you need. And I thought I'd give a quick shout out to Petra and Jamie, who have organized a talk for me this coming Wednesday to speak with students of non-duality up in Canada. And we're going to have a Zoom call together and just let you, the listener, know if you'd like to organize something like that, just reach out. I'm always happy to meet with a group privately and to discuss all matters of non-duality, entheogens, awakening, transformation, non-dual energetics, etc., etc. Looking forward to that conversation this Wednesday. Well, that's all I have in terms of announcements for right now. Let's go ahead and get into this conversation with Crea and Anthony, hearing all about Ayahuasca Inside Out, and who knows, maybe you'll get a chance to see this play someday. And also, I would like to thank those at Ayahuasca Inside Out for inviting me to come to their premiere and to save a ticket for me, but New York is a long way from Oregon, so I had to decline on that one. But thanks so much for the invitation. Really appreciated that. So here's our conversation. Hope you enjoy, and who knows, maybe you'll see the play if you're in New York City this week. So I'm welcoming on to the Entheogenic Evolution Podcast. We've got a team here. We were going to be 3 on the team, but there's only 2 because one is in Costa Rica, which I think is okay. But we have Crea and also Anthony, and they are here to tell us all about Ayahuasca Inside Out. And I have you guys' press release up here, and so I've got like paragraphs written about both of you, but I'm not going to read them because I'm going to invite you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves. So whoever wants to go first, please.
Sure. I guess I can go first. Hey, Martin. So my name's Anthony Hidalgo, and I came out of the Wall Street corporate world, entrepreneur, and had a lot of emotional distress in my life. I would say, started about 13 years ago. It started before that, but 13 years ago was a breaking point. And my marriage was ending, and I wasn't going to wake up with my 3 daughters anymore. And I really started to soul search. I had some toxic traits, some addiction issues that I had to work through. And someone said, "Hey, I have have an idea for you. You should try this thing called ayahuasca in the jungle." And I was like, "Ayahuasca what?" And did some research, and I was like, "Well, I kind of not really doing drugs anymore. I'm kind of getting my act together." And so listen, this is very different. And person was telling me about it, I really felt their heart, and that was that was heartfelt to me, and I followed that vibration down to Peru, and I drank ayahuasca for the first time, and it completely changed my world and my life. And would go down once a year, would take groups down, would take people down to South America, went on a deep study with the indigenous, and met Crea, met Crea sitting next to me a few years ago, and we were in an ayahuasca ceremony together, and I shared a vision with her afterwards, and I said, I have a vision of like bringing ayahuasca to Broadway one day. And she said, "Oh my God, me too. I've had the same vision." And I'll pause there, and I'll let Crea introduce herself.
I like it. I like the segue. Thank you, Martin, for having us on your podcast, first and foremost. It's a pleasure to meet you. So this pretty much right now marks my 10-year anniversary with ayahuasca. I heard about the medicine from a friend who went to Peru in 2005 and pretty much leaned back and waited for her to call me and for the right moment to come, which my first sit was in 2015. And I had explored consciousness expansion through psychedelics prior, but more in recreational, intimate settings with friends and not really knowing the deep healing that was available in more formal settings. And so when I started drinking ayahuasca and met the medicine 10 years ago, pretty immediately, she gave me the download that she wanted to be a musical. And not even that she wanted to be a musical. The vibration was, I am a musical and you're going to take me there. Now, I'm an artist, so it's not completely out of the box, but I had no theater credentials. I had a little experience with some set design and prop design, but in small context. And so I was confused. I was a little perplexed by how insistent and persistent the message was. And then, I met Anthony years ago, and we shared this inspiration very passionately. It wasn't just a little thing. And Anthony, I think, has been really instrumental at bringing that vision forward. And so here we are presenting a play about ayahuasca.
I would send her little songs or, things like, hey, we could use this in the production. And, we just kind of would go back and forth. And then I think everything came to a head. It was around my birthday. Every year for my birthday, some of my closest friends gathered together and really try to, surprise me and outdo themselves with different creative gifts, for my birthday and creative offerings. And Creative Crea says, well, for your birthday, I wrote a 3-act play about your life and ayahuasca. And Act 1, Anthony's born into the world. Act 2, Anthony finds ayahuasca. And Act 3, ayahuasca heals the world through Anthony. And she had the people in the room at my gathering kind of channel, almost like family constellation channeling the different emotions of the role. So she says, okay, Anthony's born into the world and he's very mischievous. Anthony, who in the room can embody mischief right now? And then I'd pick someone and that person would like kind of shamanically channel mischief in the room. And it was really divine. It was healing and funny, like really comical at the same time. And the next morning, Casey, who's actually played ayahuasca in Crea's first iteration of this, Casey said, hey, guys, I think this might be like Fringe Festival worthy. I'm going to submit it. Are you guys okay with that? And we were like, yeah, why not? We had no idea.
We submitted it together. Yeah.
Within 24 hours, it was picked up.
24 hours to get the acceptance.
Yeah.
Like I thought they would review it.
Yeah.
To anybody who doesn't know, the Fringe Festival is something that happens in New York City every year for amateur theater groups to present ideas and kind of do a workshop of what could become an off-Broadway or a Broadway production. So here we are. And Casey was really instrumental in having the vision to bring this to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this title of Ayahuasca Inside Out, and already based on the way that you've described it, for those of us with kids, like it sounds like the Pixar Inside Out. So what came first, Pixar Inside Out or Ayahuasca Inside Out, or around the same time? I mean, you mentioned that this was a birthday present. And if Pixar came first, does Disney take issue with this? Did you have to like ask them, or like, can we use the title Inside Out? I mean, what are the issues there?
Yeah, I like the question and the inquiry because, parts work is really a long history. There's a long trajectory of parts work in a lot of different lineages. And so IFS, internal family systems, is something that we all study and, are interested in and look at, like how to deal with different internal parts. So more than the Pixar production of Inside Out, it's more of a nod to parts work and to, the internal structure of the self. And yeah, I mean, it just came about in this way because we are really opening up a deep inspiration from 10 years ago for me and a long time for Anthony. So it's that sort of this inspiration coming from the inside of the body out to express in the world, and then playing into parts work.
Yeah. So it sounds like the inspiration was more that parts work, as you say. And it's interesting that you mentioned internal family systems because since your play is coming out next week, so we're recording this on a Monday, and I'm going to be releasing this next Monday morning as the play is out in the theaters in New York. Because we have a timeline for you guys, you are bumping the next interview that's going to be coming out, which is with author Ashley Booth, who has a new book about internal family systems. And we had a conversation about how it applies to psychedelic integration work and things like that. But just to wrap everything, it's all related. That'll be the next episode. So anybody who might be listening is like, oh, well, they've never talked about internal family systems here on the podcast. What is that? Well, it's coming with Ashley Booth, so you'll hear more about it.
That's cool. And Dick Schwartz, who is basically the inventor of internal family systems, is very pro psychedelic. In terms of talking about how the psychedelics accelerate the parts work.
Yeah. So, is it actually a musical?
So the Fringe Festival is an hour long. So it's not enough time to actually present the full dynamic of what we envision. So yes, we have original music. Yes, this is intended to be a musical in the long run. But for this iteration, we only have one original song, and that's at the end. But we definitely have big ideas for future envisionings.
Yeah, there were a few things we really wanted to do here, but because of the nature of Fringe, we couldn't. So, for example, we wanted it to be a bit more immersive on our first run, and Fringe is like no one can get out of their seats. So we had to adapt the screenplay to really meet the rules of the Fringe Festival and the time frame. Like crazy, I think it's 55 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah,
it's in and out. It's a workshop, and so yes, to answer your question. It's a musical.
It's a musical, but still under development. So with the original song, do you have people performing the instruments, or is it something that's pre-recorded, or how do you work that in?
That's an awesome question. Yeah, we do have the music pre-recorded, and then it'll be live voices. So Casey, who couldn't be here today with us, she has an opera singer training, and her voice is very robust. So she is leading that song, and then the cast joins in, and then the whole audience is invited to join in too. It's really a finale ensemble song.
And the song was custom written for the play. And so I think if it wasn't clear, the instrumental part of the music is going to be pre-recorded, but the actual vocal will be live.
Yeah. So Anthony, I think you had first mentioned that you had created the song. So are you a musician or?
Oh no, I didn't create the song.
Okay.
No, I didn't create the song. It wasn't me. It was actually Casey and her husband Jeff. Who's a songwriter.
Yeah, and then one of their friends in Nashville who is a musician and a recording artist.
Okay. So they're going to be developing and workshopping the additional songs that will come in hopefully later for the full-fledged production.
Yes.
That's the idea.
Yes. We have 3 songs that are in the oven right now.
Nice.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious a little bit more about the Fringe Festival. I didn't know that there was like an official festival in New York City. That here in Ashland, our local university is Southern Oregon University, and a number of years ago, they started what they were calling the Fringe Festival in the spring, and it was the idea of bringing in all different kinds of performance pieces, like kind of experimental performance pieces, and then have them held at different places around on campus, so that you might be walking across campus and then somebody's, doing some kind of performance art as you're walking through the quad or something like that. Does that sound like it's inspired by the New York City Fringe Festival? Is that kind of similar?
Yes, there are fringe festivals in many cities.
Okay.
Yep.
So how long has this been going on?
I think a long time. I remember hearing about Fringe Festival maybe 20 years ago, but I never went to anything. I never really was invited to anything specific. So this is my first interaction with it, but it's a really cool opportunity to play. And for any of your listeners who are going to be in New York City next week, the first 3 shows are sold out, but the last 2 on Saturday the 19th and 20th are still open. We still have tickets available.
Started in 1997, apparently.
Okay, so it's been going for a while.
Going for a while. I think there was an original one that ran 1997 to 2019, and this is like a second version of it. There was a pause for a little bit, for a few years, I believe. But it's pretty incredible because they put so much behind it. So they do a lot of the promotion. Like we had a billboard in Times Square. In the center of Times Square was a billboard. They did have us shorten the name because they wouldn't let ayahuasca on the billboard. So it's Aya Inside Out on the billboard. But yeah, there's just all the press, the press releases, the press contacts. They're doing a lot of that work for us. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So with submitting this play and then that 24-hour turnaround, kind of catching you guys off guard, like what's the next step? Like, how do you prepare for that? Was that like an oh shit moment? Like, oh my God, now we've really got to get this together? Or were you prepared for them to say yes?
No.
No way.
No.
No way. It was a complete waterfall of unexpected, like, holy shit, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we huddled. I remember I was in California when I got the call from Crea and Casey that it got accepted, and we huddled and we were like, okay, what's next? Well, so we're gonna have to raise some money if we want to do this now, And Casey had experience putting budgets together before, and we ran through a rough budget to see what we would need, and we picked Seed and Spark, which is a kind of like a GoFundMe, but specifically for like entertainment theater projects. And we launched a campaign, and we sent it out to our community and everyone we know. A lot of people who are in the plant medicine world, been to South America, who've done the work and really wanted to see this. And we had 30 days to raise the money, I think, and we had like 2 weeks to hit 80% of the goal. They were like milestones that we had to hit, and we hit every milestone, and we raised the money for the production, and we were off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
So then you go out, you got to find actors, or are you guys performing in it, or who's playing the roles?
I'm not performing this time.
Anthony's not performing this time.
But it's about you, isn't it? I mean, is it still built around the character of Anthony?
It's pretty much built around the character of me.
It's loosely based.
Loosely
right.
based, yeah. But my schedule was just too crazy to do any of the rehearsals. I've been on the road. I've been on the road a lot, so I wanted it to happen, and I had to lose the attachment that it wasn't going to be me.
Sure.
Me. Yeah, it was pretty amazing because Freya and Casey were writing the screenplay while the GoFundMe was happening. So we just said this is going to happen. We just said it to everyone, this is going to happen,
Hmm.
and really manifested that it was going to happen. And
Hmm.
so that everything was happening at the same time, and we were looking for actors all at the same time. And then we got some really like heavy hitter, serious actors, some union actors actually.
Yeah, I mean, we have a really nice mix of people who have experience in theater work and maybe aren't doing that currently, who are coming back from a hiatus from performance. So that's really interesting in the name of healing to come back to an original art form.
Mhm.
I am in the show as narrator, as creation. And then Casey is also in the production as ayahuasca. And yeah, our main character is going to be played by two different union actors, one of which we have some synchronicity that he knew some of us from other areas of life. And then the other one is somebody who was in the show Heroes, who is going to be playing the end of our five run show.
Yeah,
Okay.
and sorry, I just want to say, and most of the cast, were really supporters of the work of psychedelics, and so that was super helpful.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask. Like, is there a requirement for people who are in the play to have experience with ayahuasca, or um, like how do?
It wasn't a requirement, but we
Yeah,
really like it's what we wanted.
right.
It wasn't a requirement, but we wanted the passion to be there. This is a passion.
And the mission,
Yeah.
right? This is a mission-based project to spread the love and the message of this particular medicine and this frequency out into a new audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I don't. You don't need to give anything away from the play because, of course, we want people to go see the play and to be surprised. But so something that comes up a lot in contemporary media because psychedelics are getting more and more of an audience is that we're seeing representations of this in film, television, like with my wife just watching this last season of Industry over the past couple of weeks. That they've got a little ayahuasca scene in there, and once it hits where one of the characters is having his ayahuasca vision, my wife is saying like, "That's not what ayahuasca is like at all. That's not even close. That's not what it's like." And so it's kind of this interesting hurdle of how do we depict both the external and the internal factors of a psychedelic experience, in whatever medium that we're seeking to communicate through. So, how do you guys deal with that issue in a stage production?
I love that question.
Yeah.
I love that question because it brings up so much of the unique way each person interprets their experience, and no two experiences are alike. So, I think one of the most beautiful things that I've received from being a student of ayahuasca is the permission to make art,
Mm,
to create from your own unique relationship, not suggesting that this is how it is for everybody, but this is what I've received and this is my, little way of expressing that in the world. This moment is an inspiration coming out. And so we're not suggesting that this is how it is, but for people who haven't received the medicine, they'll certainly get a little energetic, receiving of that medicine.
And there's also the piece around mm, where we project onto this show how healing can also be fun and playful.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
So, and how about sets and props and things like that? And maybe in sort of this workshop kind of environment, maybe you don't have a lot of opportunity for that, or
Yeah, we are mostly using projection art. We have a
mm,
video designer who is creating the ambiance of where the scenes are going to be taking place. And then we have, I would say, a medium weight level of prop use.
You know,
throughout the show.
basically, we can only use what we can carry in and set up within X amount of minutes before the show. Is the condition, right? So it's got to be like what our limited amount of stage-hands can do. Bring in their hands only within the first like 10 minutes you have between shows to set up, and then take it out within 10 minutes. So there's not room. But, I'm sure we'll have a few purge buckets on the stage.
There will be a couple of purge buckets.
Okay, I was going to ask. So as we all know,
a purge scene and called the Great Purge.
Okay, good. Because, ayahuasca is very somatic, very physical, and can come out of both ends. It happens sometimes at the same time.
It does.
And it's definitely an area where the uninitiated tend to be very squeamish around, like, oh, you go and you throw up and you get better. Like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah. Well, the golden rule in ayahuasca is also, never trust a fart. It's a golden rule given to me many, many years ago. And it's our society doesn't really have context for purging, right? It's like, oh, I was sick, I drank too much alcohol and I'm hungover, or I had a stomach virus. And so they associate purging with getting sick. And, I think what ayahuasca has shown me is actually if I hold on to all that shit and don't release it in some way, it's going to make me sick. And so it's a whole mindset shift of like, I'm actually healing. I'm getting rid of something that I don't need to have anymore. And it is the part I think that people cringe over. It's what my mom wouldn't drink ayahuasca for years, and it was because I don't want to throw up, I don't want to purge, and then she finally got over it and came and drank and loved it, but it's a big thing to get over.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the different parts that are represented in the play. So you've already mentioned that we've got the creator, that's the narrator, and we've got ayahuasca speaking. What are the other parts, and how do they get incorporated into the narrative and the production?
Yeah, so it's a small cast, obviously, for what we're bringing forward in this workshop setting, but we have got a alter ego, a shaman, we've got joy, we've got a serpent, we've got a godmother ancestor, and we've got a grandmother, and we have ayahuasca herself.
Yeah. So with a small cast, is it going to be different people playing some of these different, like, multiple roles, or do you have somebody for all of them?
Yeah, there's a few that are playing multiple roles. I think we're a cast of 6 total, who are on the stage throughout the experience. And then I'll say we do have one audience plant as well. That's just for your listeners. Nobody else is going to know that.
Okay, good.
Welcome.
Good. And
maybe two audience plants if you decide to come out for opening night, Martin.
Well, let me jump on my private plane. Yeah. But by the way, like, you guys, I got that invitation, and it was like really sweet. It's like, oh, that's really nice. Like, if I lived on the East Coast, like, I would definitely, like, why not do it? But it's a little bit far from Oregon.
There was a double-edged sword here. Originally, we had unlimited streaming tickets available, and then we didn't expect that we were going to get these union actors, and we did. And then there were really strict agreements in place when using union actors, which took streaming off the table.
Oh,
so yeah, it was a midway shift and change that we weren't expecting, and we're hoping for the future that we can figure out a way around it. We had to go based upon the negotiation that Fringe has with the union for this, which that's what it was.
Yeah, and in the nature of live theater, it probably wouldn't translate as well in a live stream as being there. And so there's something kind of sweet about the intimacy of just whoever's there really gets to experience it. And in my personal long view of this production, we get to travel and bring it to different cities around the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here in Ashland, we're quite known for our theater productions. We have the annual Shakespeare Festival, and it's not just Shakespeare. Last summer we had, what was it? Adventures of Lizard Boy, something like that from, I think they're from Seattle. And it was all about this young kid who got turned into a lizard superhero. And it was a musical. It was like a 3-person production, and it was a musical. And, it was all about a gay identity coming out sort of story, but it was great. And it was done in a theater that had, seats on 3 sides like that. So they're open to experimental different theater here in Ashland. So maybe you could bring it out here.
I love that. Thanks for putting it on our radar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, we've got the Elizabethan Theater and all of that. So theater is a big thing around here. And there's also the Oregon Cabaret. That would be or the Ashland Cabaret. That would be another option that they routinely do small cast musical productions, and there's also dinner theater, and they serve you Dick Hay pie and intermission, so you can have some pie.
Neat.
Sweet.
Yeah. So with getting it down to like 55 minutes, it's always interesting when you have like a creative project, but then you've only got this much time to do it in. So that's also what happens if you go and you speak at a conference or something like that. Like when somebody interviews me, I always tell them like, okay, only get a couple questions ready because I'm a talker. So just wait. You ask me one question, I'm going to be talking for the next half an hour. But if you present at a conference, you got to compress everything down. Like you only have 25 minutes, you have 40 minutes. What was that like trying to fit it into a compressed, specific time? And then you got to imagine you have to cut out lines that you love or scenes.
Yeah. The editing process, the timing, it all created some challenge that, we had to really scale down and just really get the arc of the story to move very quickly, leaving enough room for the acting and the live performance. So yeah, I mean, it was just like kind of 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Wait, this doesn't work. What's more important here? Just kind of asking those questions. And, with Casey and I as the co-writers, we really needed to come to a middle ground on all decisions. And it's just the spirit of collaboration really had to step in. And I think we all had to make some not sacrifices. What's the word I want?
Concessions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would just add to that and say too, that there was also so much excitement that this project was happening.
Mm-hmm.
The excitement that this is only the beginning, there's the knowing, there's the real knowing that this is just the beginning. And so it became an opportunity to showcase what we really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it sounds very much like this Fringe Festival is a potential great jumping off point for you guys.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that how a lot of these plays work in the Fringe Festival, that this is kind of their intro, and you say like the workshopping, but then a lot of productions actually do successfully come out of this?
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. People like the creation, if they like the way the scripts were written, if they like the way, things were created, they like the ideas. Then that's where things can get picked up to go further.
Yeah, sometimes a producer will come in and be like, I've loved it. Here's what I would love to see happen with the production, and I'm going to back you up if you agree, to find some, the middle ground, what all parties want.
Yeah. So I just got distracted by the note taker. The note taker says it ran out of time.
Okay. Bye, note taker.
Okay. Note taker. We'll miss you so much. For the listeners, we have an AI taking notes, which I didn't know they could do that. I was going to ask something, but I got distracted. So what was it? What was I going to ask? Oh, yeah, this is it. So you already are doing other things in life. And I think both of you said like theater production was not your main thing. So if this takes off and it's suddenly like, okay, we've got some financial backing, we've got interest, and we want to make this, amazing musical. Are your lives going to be able to accommodate that? Are you ready to jump in and like make this this is what you're going to be doing for however, I don't know how long it would take, and then potentially travel around and take the show on the road?
The short answer is yes.
Yes.
The short answer is yes. We've spoken about it at length actually, and we want this. We want to bring this production to stage so bad that we are willing to make a lot of changes in our life to really buckle down. We'll probably do it in Thailand or Bali and just have like creative session. I watched I was telling Crea recently, I watched, what was the name of the movie? It was The Making of the Godfather.
Mm.
Where what was his name? Mario Puzo, the screenwriter and the producer, they kind of hold themselves up. Have you seen him, Martin? The Making of the Godfather.
No, I haven't.
They hold themselves up in this like California home, and they got a typewriter, and they're just like creating like creative genius style coming out of it. And so I had that vision of us kind of doing that somewhere exotic and just going to spend some time and with some friends and just create.
Yeah.
And for me too, like shamanism came from performative arts. These aren't two separate entities. There's an origin story with, the original healer who knew he had the ability, and it just became the gesturing of knowing that. And so, yeah, there's something really profound for me in sharing that wisdom with the world in whatever way this wants to come forward, that this is theater and it's art, but it is also like the core of I am, that I can heal myself, and that we all have indigenous roots and shamanism, capacity.
Yeah. And time, there's something about the timing now with, Aaron Rodgers documentary and, all
Oprah.
all the studies, Oprah talking about it more, all the studies that have been coming out, the new churches that have just recently gotten approval in the States. So it's just, the timing feels right that people need to be educated on this.
Yeah. So with the shamanic roots of ayahuasca, I'm curious, especially with this being a musical, are you guys incorporating icaros, or how is the shamanic music and the tradition and the indigenous nature of it, is that being incorporated into it? And if so, how are you kind of managing that with issues of, say, cultural appropriation or giving, the word is escaping me at the moment. Sorry, brain not working so well this afternoon. But giving credit for like, where do these songs come from? How do they incorporate in the ritual? What is the role that they play in helping to steer people's experiences? And so I'm curious, how are you guys dealing with that element, or are you just introducing new and different music, which I think is always fine as well. But just curious how you're working with that indigenous side and that indigenous artistic expression within the context of the play.
Mm-hmm.
Great question.
It's an awesome question, and one that we've given a lot of consideration to. First, it's important to know that one of our teachers and elders is a Hunikun member from Brazil, who's a keeper of one of the original people who hold ayahuasca. And so while we're not incorporating any of their songs or icaros or chanting in the, God bless you,
Thank you,
in the play directly, we do have a proceed for her. So the project is going to support her project in Brazil to build a center for women and children.
She's basically the only female chief of the Hunikun tribe. Historically, it's been a very patriarchal, machismo culture. And she had to go and prove herself. And she came from the right lineage where, her great-grandfather was the head chief, and they really groomed her for this position. And so she facilitates with her 5 children. And she brings real mama, real female, feminine mama energy into the work. And her being the only female chief of the tribe, we really wanted to help her bring her vision to fruition. And her vision is a center for teaching more women and empowering more women within the tribe, and also educating the children, and a place where they can do cultural exchange. So people who want to learn more about the Hunikun culture can come into Brazil, into the Amazon, and learn more about the traditions and culture. Proceeds from this production from ticket sales are going to her and to that family in the Honeycomb. And what's really amazing is she was here for my birthday celebration where this came about. So she saw the first version of this and was part of it and was so like on board and really supportive. Yeah.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. She gave us her blessing, and that was really important to us. And also I'll just say, we don't feel inclined to bring the Icaros. That feels really important to keep for the indigenous, to hold those codes. But our music definitely is an expression of our love for the medicine. And we do have a very diverse cast. And that was also really important to us. Yeah.
And the messaging is focused more on like how transformation can happen, how the healing can take its place. Yeah.
So with the music that you guys are producing for the show, how would you describe it? Is it like musical theater music, or I don't even know what the categories would be in contemporary musical productions. And but like going back to like Lizard Boy that was just here, they call that like an alt folk rock musical, right? So that was their musical style.
Yeah.
That's a Casey question.
Well, I would put it in the musical theater category.
Totally.
One of the big messages in our project is that joy is always available. So yes, healing can be fun. That's one piece, that we are bringing some lighthearted buoyancy into the worlds of plant medicine, which can often feel very sacred and serious, which we love that piece too, but we're leaning more toward the fun and the playful. But yeah, the music is definitely a little more musical theater.
And because it's immersive, it's also designed to get the audience to join in and sing along. So it's catchy.
Yeah. And so, the song is a lot about joy.
Well, I know that your singer isn't here, but I'm just curious, like, can we get like a little sample? Is there anything maybe we can digest here? Not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I guess what I will say, I'm not going to sing it here, but I will say the catch line, the one that's going to potentially ripple out and continue, is "May joy always find you."
All right. And joy doesn't never rest.
We have the character Joy.
Right.
That plays a role in how that comes about.
Did Casey's original one make it into the cut of this one? Anthony, come with me.
Yes. Yes, that's there. Yes. Yeah, there's some parts from the first iteration of this that we definitely made sure to keep. That were just nuggets of gold. And then, a lot of play and collaboration. We really wanted the cast to feel included in some of the script writing and let them feel into their parts and make sure that they, really could embody what their role is.
And we wanted the audience too to really feel part of it. So basically the setup is that everyone's coming to the shaman's birthday party. That's the setup.
Nice. Is there any chance that a recording was made of this original birthday party production?
No.
We had no idea that this was going to be anything other than a really fun moment.
Yeah. It's funny though. The next day I said, we should have recorded that.
Yeah, he did say that.
I said, we really should have. Like, that was so good. And Crea said, it's recorded in your mind forever.
Took a mind movie. Yeah. I was thinking, that'd be great for, years from now when there's the documentary retrospective of, how did Ayahuasca Inside Out come to be? And like, here's original footage from Anthony's birthday party. This was the genesis of this entire project.
Yeah, that would be great for the documentary to have that footage.
Yeah.
We're going to have to just recreate it next year.
We could do that. We could reenact. Totally. That would be fun, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was wild about the first one was no one except for Crea and Casey actually knew that this was happening and what they needed to do. So it was really just
That's not true.
improv.
They knew it was happening,
but they didn't know that they were going to be a part of it.
A couple people knew.
But only a few people knew. The people who were a part of it didn't know what they were doing. It was like improv channel. A lot of
it was improv channel. Yeah. But we had a signal thread of everybody who was, involved, and I had procured a little bit of, hey, you're going to play this role, you're going to play this role. It was a lot of fun, and that energy of fun is what I believe got us into the Fringe Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you shared that with everybody else who was there at the birthday party, did everybody just flip out like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this"?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's disbelief everywhere we turn. The billboard. I mean, we just put the word Aya on a billboard in Times Square.
Yeah.
Whether people know what that means or not, the medicine is moving through us. This is a divine expression. We feel.
Yeah. Well, certainly the people who know, they'll know. They're like, I saw that on a billboard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I think we're expecting kind of two profiles of people. I think we're expecting people to come that have experienced Aya before and just want fun of this to experience it. And I think there's going to be some curious people that, have been hearing about it, that really maybe never experienced it before and are curious. And our hope is that this inspires them. This inspires them to go to the jungle and go to Costa Rica and go try it.
Or even, I would add, people who maybe don't have any interest in drinking ayahuasca, but they're going to get some kind of like distant contact, right? Like an energetic is going to be transmitted to them.
Yeah.
That will expose them to what's possible.
Yeah. So does it still have this format with Aya eventually going out and healing the world within the story?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Again, we don't need to give away spoilers. Sorry.
That's okay. It's not a spoiler because the acting and the lived experience of the characters is like, it's worth seeing just for that. It's so good. I mean, I love it because I'm seeing this come to life from my body of holding it for 10 years, and it's just thrilling.
Yeah. I just saw the playbill yesterday, and that got me really excited. Crea.
Yeah.
She came here in Denver and brought me a copy of the playbill. It's really happening.
Oh, so like dress rehearsals, are they happening like right now?
Oh yeah, we're in the middle of it all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what kind of?
I dropped into a Zoom rehearsal 2 weeks ago and started to see some of my own personal stories get performed for the first time, and I got super emotional. I was like, "Wow, yeah."
Oh, you just wait.
Got a little choked up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So rehearsal on Zoom. That's a modern thing that you guys are actually rehearsing the play that way, or
it started that way. They do the read throughs first, right? And it's just the read throughs for everyone to kind of read the lines, but then we rented a place in Manhattan for the actual dress rehearsals.
And none of our cast lives in the same city. We're all pretty dispersed, so it's the only way that we could get rolling, and then in a very short chunk of time do some physical rehearsals and then dress rehearsals coming up before this show. So yeah, it's all happening rather quick, a little too quick. No, I wouldn't say too quick, but
it's happening fast.
at a frequency that is has us all on our toes.
Yeah. Well, I'm amazed that you guys have time to even do this interview because we're only a week out from the actual production.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were going to say something, Anthony?
I was going to say, I think that's the biggest part of the budget's been like flying everybody in, putting everybody up here, the whole cast, because everyone's coming from all different parts of the country.
Wow. Well, let's just make sure we got all the details here because I don't want to take too much of you guys' time because you got a play to put on. You got stuff to do. But this is going to be taking place at the Fringe Festival. So I've just got the list here that you guys have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of all next week. So April 14th through the 20th. The first two are sold out. The
first three are now sold out.
Okay, so my information is already out of date. Well, congratulations that 3 are already sold out. So there's 2 open shows.
Saturday and Sunday show. And Sunday's Easter Sunday, so it's been the slowest one to fill up, I think.
Wow. And with the Fringe Festival, are there like, is it all taking place in one place or are there multiple venues happening all at the same time? Do people have to pick and choose what they're going to go to, or is it possible to see and experience everything?
There's many shows going on with the Fringe Festival,
And many venues.
and many venues. Our production is happening in one venue, same space each time. But people are welcome to explore what the Fringe Festival is offering this year and do a round of different shows. There's definitely a few I would like to go see.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. What's
Mhm.
that? What do you want to see?
Um, there's one, oh gosh, what is it called? I don't remember the name right now. There's one with the word nothing in it of these two women who are just talking about their lives. Oh, yeah, there's a couple. I would need to see the roster in front of me to tell you what they are right now.
Yeah. And how about you, Anthony? Anything you're looking to see?
I actually haven't. I haven't looked at the roster. I've been in my like very very busy season, and I'm flying home Thursday. It'll be my first time home in 30 days. I've been on the road, so I'm flying home Thursday, and I'll be home for a while. So I'm gonna check everything out when I'm back home.
All right. And is this coming like next weekend? Is that going to just be total crunch time for you guys?
Oh
Putting
yeah.
this together?
It's already it's crunch time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crunch time now.
Wow. Well, this is exciting. I always enjoy talking to people who are involved on the creative end of things and how things come about and all the bits and pieces of putting together art in all of its forms. So it's been a pleasure to speak with you guys. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you just want to mention before I let you go so you can get back to your play?
Mhm. Um, I would just say that, for anybody who explores, psychedelics in their own way and opening up their consciousness to make art, find your expression and don't be inhibited that, we are all artists at our core. And that's one of my biggest teachings from working with the plants is giving myself and everybody else permission to make art uninhibited.
Okay, well, since you mentioned art, I checked out your webpage with some of your paintings on here. What's the medium that you like to use for your paintings?
Oh, thanks for asking. I actually use a combination of acrylic and oil.
Okay.
It's not commonly done, but yeah, I like to work with bottom layers of acrylic and then add layers of more saturated color.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoy these pieces that you have on here. Are you the artist for the playbill?
I am the artist for the playbill with the amazing technology of AI.
AI, you can do lots of fun stuff with it.
It's
And then
true. Yeah.
yeah. And then these works on paper, are
Mhm.
those also oil and acrylics or is that more watercolors or
I was a printmaker for 8 years. So I traveled the world working in different print shops and teaching printmaking. So there are a lot of different forms of printmaking, works on paper.
yeah. So do you still enjoy painting? Is that still something you're involved with?
Yes, not to the degree when I was a full-time visual artist, but I do commissions for people now, and I don't have a studio at the current moment, but definitely what I want to be doing a lot more with my life. I love painting.
Yeah. And I see also you have some photography here. You got some birds.
Oh yeah.
Those are my subjects. I go out and I photograph the birds all the time.
Yep, I
That's a cute
love birds.
lemur. Yeah.
Did you
So
ever listen to the Emerald podcast about birds? Do you know that podcast?
no, a couple of people have brought that to my attention. But I don't ever really listen to anybody else's podcasts.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, but a few people have mentioned it. So, maybe at some point, but as a creative, busy type, I'm like usually busy doing my own thing.
Yeah,
You know?
understood.
Yeah.
Understood. But the bird one, if you're ever going to listen to one, it's all storytelling about birds and it's quite astounding.
Cool. Well, maybe I'll check it out at some point when I have
Mhm.
free time. Whenever I have free time, it's like, okay, what am I working on now? So,
Mhm. Are you writing any books right now?
No, what I'm busy doing actually is, so I've been teaching with the Mindscape Institute. We have a couple different courses that I'm teaching there, and one is the 5-MeO DMT Trauma Informed Facilitator course. And I had helped write a textbook for the class. So the director, Stephen Kirby, he did most of the writing. Then I went in and I added a bunch of stuff and edited a bunch of stuff. And now I am in the process of editing and formatting and finalizing all of that for an eventual book production of this text that was made for the class. And every time I've got it formatted, he sends me like another chunk, like, oh, boy, no, I've got all this other stuff. And I had written a bunch of notes in it. And then he wanted to put it into his own words, which is fine because it's his book. I'm the editor and I've written a foreword for it. And I'm designing the cover for that as well. So that's kind of the big thing that I'm working on right now, book-wise. So I'm not actively writing my own thing, but
But in the process of something coming.
yeah.
Love it.
So that's what's up for me.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, it's been great to meet you guys. Definitely break a leg, as they say in theater, right? That's what you got to do. You got to break a leg for your play. I hope it's super successful. We're recording this a week before, but it will be out Monday morning on the April 14th. So I'll be sending you guys a link so you can share it. Hopefully it'll help promote what you're doing. I hope it's a great success, and I hope that it's a launching pad for creating an even more in-depth, greater production, musical powerhouse of Ayahuasca Inside Out. Sounds like a lot of fun. And again, I really appreciate the invite. And who knows, maybe at some point you'll have it out here on the West Coast and it'll be a little bit easier for me and come and just do it here in Ashland. Then I could just walk down the street and
I love it.
won't have to take a plane at all. It'll be super easy.
I love it. Well, thank you for putting that on our radar. We'll definitely make Ashland part of our tour. And thank you for hosting. Thank you for your curiosity and for all the work you're doing in the world to, bring the medicine out safely. And yeah, it was great meeting you too.
All right. Well, you guys have a great evening over there.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.